Some stories are just so wild, they don't seem real. Imagine this. It's Thanksgiving Eve, 1971. A man hijacks the plane, gets a huge ransom, and then he jumps out the back of it into a freezing storm and is just never, ever seen again. We're talking about modern America's greatest, most baffling unsolved skyjacking.
And this quote from the original investigation just says it all, doesn't it? The moment he stepped off that plane into the black of night, the man we call D.B. Cooper basically just blinked out of existence. All he left behind was a legend, a few tiny clues, and one massive, burning question.
And that, right there, is the heart of it all. This is the question we're diving into. I mean, a heist this bold, it feels like it's straight out of a movie, but it was completely real. So, really, how on earth did he pull it off?
Okay, so to really get the mystery, we have to go right back to the start. The day is November 24th, 1971. What should have been just another routine flight is about to become an absolute legend in American folklore.
So look at this timeline. What's absolutely wild is just how calm and methodical the whole thing was. From the second he hands that note to the flight attendant, Cooper is in total control. He gets the cash, he lets the passengers go, and then he orders the plane right back into the air for his big escape. And then, somewhere over the thick forests of Washington, poof, he's gone. By the time they land in Reno, it's like he was never there.
Let's be clear, these were not random demands. This guy knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that specific plane, the Boeing 727, had that staircase in the back, the perfect escape hatch. He knew the precise flight conditions for a jump: stay below 10,000 feet so the cabin isn't pressurized, and keep the landing gear down to slow the plane way down. He even asked for 4 parachutes. So clever. That made the authorities think he might take a hostage, so they wouldn't dare mess with the gear. This was someone who had thought of everything.
So Cooper's gone, right? The FBI swarms the plane when it lands in Reno, expecting to find something, anything, a treasure trove of evidence. What they actually found was, well, next to nothing. And that's it. Seriously, this is pretty much all the FBI had to work with. He was smart enough to ask for the bomb note back, so they didn't even get a handwriting sample. For decades, the best hope was some DNA on that tie and the cigarettes, but even that's led nowhere. And get this, he jumped with one of the main parachutes and a dummy training chute that couldn't even open. Was that a huge mistake, or was it somehow part of the plan? We just don't know.
For almost 10 years, the trail was ice cold. The FBI circulated the serial numbers for all 10,000 of those $20 bills, and not one of them ever popped up. It looked like the case was going to stay a complete mystery forever. And then, 1980 happened.
So picture this, February 1980. An 8-year-old kid, Brian Ingram, is digging a fire pit on a sandy beach along the Columbia River. And right there, just a few inches down, he finds these 3 rotting bundles of cash. It was only a fraction of the ransom, about $6,000, but it was the first, and so far, the only piece of Cooper's treasure that has ever been found.
You'd think finding the money would solve things, right? Nope, it just created a whole new set of impossible questions. The location makes no sense. It's miles from where they thought he jumped, and the river flows in the wrong direction for it to have washed up there. But here's the real kicker. The rubber bands were still intact. Tests showed they should have rotted away in less than a year in the water, so that money was almost certainly buried there by someone not long after the hijacking. And that discovery, of course, just reignited the 2 biggest questions of them all. Did D.B. Cooper actually survive that insane jump? And if he did, who was he?
Honestly, you can argue this one all day long. On the one hand, you think, no way. He jumped into a raging storm at 10,000 feet, at night, wearing a suit and loafers. The odds were just ridiculously stacked against him. But, then again, a massive search found nothing. No body, no parachute, no briefcase. And that money buried on the beach? That screams that someone put it there. The bottom line is, without a body, you just can't say for sure he didn't make it.
Over the decades, thousands, literally thousands of people have been investigated, but these few names always seem to float to the top. You've got guys like Rackstraw, the military vet, Christensen, an airline insider, and Weber, who confessed on his deathbed. But here's the problem. For every single piece of evidence that makes you think, aha, this is the guy, there's a huge flaw: the wrong age, a mismatched description, a failed DNA test that just rules him out. And so that's where we are, with no body, no more money, and no good suspect. The case has sort of drifted out of criminal investigation and right into the world of modern American folklore.
Yeah, after 45 years of chasing ghosts and hitting dead ends, the FBI finally just shelved the whole thing. It is still, to this day, the only unsolved skyjacking in the history of the United States, a literal perfect crime that completely stumped one of the most powerful law enforcement agencies in the world.
And that really gets to the core of why we're still talking about this. The mystery stays alive because nobody can prove he didn't survive. It's that tiny sliver of a possibility that some guy in a suit outsmarted everyone, jumped into the void and actually got away with it, that keeps the legend going. He's become this weird kind of folk hero, a symbol of sticking it to the man.
So you have to wonder, is the rest of that money still out there somewhere, buried and waiting? Is there some tiny clue just sitting in a dusty attic? Or did the man we know as Dan Cooper just take all his secrets with him to his grave? We might never know for sure, and maybe, just maybe, that's what makes this one of the most incredible and enduring mysteries of all time.